Coach Steve Wine with AP. Congratulations.
Steve,
welcome. Why now? You've been at George Mason for 15 years. 14 years, I'm sorry. You're 61. It's not a time when people typically make this kind of change. Why now did you decide?
I'm crazy. I love a challenge. I love great opportunities, and I love to be around great leaders. And one of the great joys I've had is working at George Mason for a great leader in Dr. Alan Merton. But he has announced his retirement. And at that moment, I think for me, I started thinking to myself about my own career, where I am, and what goals have I not been able to accomplish during the course of my 40-year career in coaching. And one of the things kept coming back in my mind, that I'd love to coach in the ACC, to coach at the highest level, to take a team to Cameron Indoor Stadium or to the Dean Dome and challenge against two of the premier basketball programs in the country. And at this time in my life, I felt, once I talked to Sean Eichhorst, and I could hear the energy in his voice, the passion that he had for this job, to read and find out things about the other basketball program here and the job that Katie Meyer has already done. And I was even more pleased when I found out that she scrambles. For those of you who don't know, I do instructional videos on the scramble defense, and Katie, when we met this morning for the first time, told me that her team scrambles all the time, and so it's nice to be a part when you look at the faces and the names of the people who are now leading the university in President Shalala, the athletic department in Sean Eichhorst, the football program in Al Golden, the women's basketball program, which is important to me because it shows that if the women can do it, the men should be able to do it. And the success that they're enjoying, and I think they will enjoy in the future, is a challenge for me, but something that excites me very much. And it's kind of like the last piece in a coaching career to finalize what I hope to be all about. When I first arrived at George Mason, I said we wanted to do something very, very special. And I think our run to the Final Four was that monumental moment. But we didn't win the national championship. And quite frankly, that irks me. And so I think being a member of the ACC, with the opportunities to recruit nationally, but with a focus on locally and regionally, with the talent that I know we already have on hand, I think we can be headed in the right direction to challenge the best programs in our league and in the country, get the U back to the NCAA tournament, and then hope to do something very, very special again.
Coach, Shannon Somerville, UMTV.
Where were we? Oh, way up there.
All right, you said you're leaving, obviously, a successful program, top 25. So what is it about this group of guys that makes you believe in them?
First of all, in the recruiting process, you kind of get to know different guys. Like, I know Reggie is not here. Reggie Johnson is back home in Winston. But he played for Boo Williams in the summer, an extremely talented AAU program. And all these guys came here highly recruited with lots of options. And when I had the opportunity to watch them play on TV, as the process began, I started to watch. There's a software program called Synergy, and I pulled that up to watch the players in action and try to decide for myself what their capability was. And I think the talent level that we have here, of course, everybody would need to remain and pull together and buy into my philosophy. But if we can do that, I think we can have a very special season next year. And that is my hopes. I hope it's the dreams of these guys. I know they've gone through a very difficult period, not knowing who's going to coach them. They're probably wondering who I am and what I'm going to be like. We're going to meet right after this conference is over, and I'm going to share with them who I am. The guys from New York will have no problem understanding me. I grew up in the Bronx, kind of a tough neighborhood. My brother's kidding me. It wasn't a very tough neighborhood. But I grew up in the Bronx in a basketball community. I played for the most successful high school coach in New York City, New York State history, Jack Curran at Archbishop Malloy. He is my inspiration for wanting to get into coaching. And so I have tried to emulate him throughout my career. The players I know will find me very different because I am very academically oriented. It's one of the reasons why a school like the University of Miami was attractive to me. But I think also players hunger for discipline. They hunger to win. They want to be the best that they can be. And it's going to be my job, along with my coaching staff, to help them reach those goals.
Coach Brian London from allcanes.com. Welcome to the
Hi,
family. Can you just talk about your philosophy, basketball philosophy, your brand of basketball?
Okay. Let me begin. This is something that started on a very long time ago, and it's a part of my parenting philosophy. And because of the relationship that my wife and I have with our sons, I have two boys, Jay and John. Jay is 36. He was hired by the Cleveland Cavaliers and is the head coach of their D-League team. And my son John is 31, and he's a businessman in D.C. But when my wife and I were raising our sons, the two things that we stressed to ourselves to work with our sons, we wanted them to grow up to be happy and successful. But we felt in order to accomplish both those goals, they needed to be great students, to learn, to become smart, and to be able to use those smarts to advance themselves, to enjoy their life. That same approach is what we take as a coaching staff with the team. I want these guys to be happy. I want them to have fun. Basketball is a game. It should be fun. So we emphasize three very specific qualities: attitude, commitment, and class. Attitude, we ask our players and everyone associated with the program to have a positive attitude. We talk about life being 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Second, we talk about commitment, to make a total and unconditional commitment to being the best that you can be in everything you do. That's not only on the basketball court, but academically, socially, in every aspect of your life. The third is class, which we want our players to always behave in a first-class manner. We will share with them the importance of understanding that they represent more than themselves. They represent their family and their home community. They represent the basketball program and the athletic department. They represent the university and every aspect of it. And they are role models in the community. Once players buy into that concept, that philosophy of having the right attitude, making the right commitment, that means developing the kind of work ethic second to none, that you are trying to outwork everybody, and that you're behaving always in a first-class manner. And we're not just talking about behavior, how you look, how you dress, how you speak. Those are very, very important aspects to our overall philosophy. As far as the basketball is concerned, I'm a tremendous believer that defense wins championships. Did you guys hear me? Let me say that again. Defense wins championships. And we are coming here to compete and win, to challenge the best teams. That means we need to be fundamentally sound at the defensive end of the floor. That means we need to be able to guard the basketball, but we also need to be able to help the guy who guards the basketball. The players will hear me and my coaching staff use the expression, one man guards the basketball and four men help him guard the basketball. You've got to stop the opponent from scoring. Once you do that, you have then a choice of whether or not you want to run off of your defense. And our choice is to be an up-tempo team, to create an exciting environment so that fans will want to come. They'll think the games, man, that was fun. That was a great game. So the defense will create the offense. We led the league. We led the ACC in three-pointers made. One part of our offensive philosophy is to create fast break layups and open threes in transition. That will not change. It hasn't changed throughout the course of my coaching career. We will try to create those layups and open threes from our defense, but when the defensive team that we're playing against gets back, we will settle down into a half-court offense and be very specific about utilizing our strengths and our weaknesses. We know we already have some terrific three-point shooters. We know we have some guys who can really post up and score with their back to the basket. We will work very, very hard to help them become the kind of players that can continue to play beyond college. Because it's my guess that a lot of guys who are sitting here today would like to play pro ball, either in the NBA or Europe, but continue playing. I know that has been a goal of most of the players that I've coached throughout my career. One of the things I mentioned earlier, and Katie and I talked about, was the scramble defense. I'm hoping to implement that to a degree that it can become a weapon and something that the opponent will have to prepare for every single night. But a lot of that will depend on the kind of work ethic that we develop as a team, because it forces the players to play at a high level of intensity for an extended period of time, and it requires a deep and talented bench. You've got to use more guys because it's very fatiguing. My early George Mason teams and my late Bowling Green teams scrambled 70, 80% of the time. My George Mason teams of recent years have scrambled less because we were so strong at the half-court level, and we utilized those strengths.
We'll take one more question, and Coach and Sean will break to the opposite sides of the podium for additional interviews.
Michelle again?
Can you talk a little more about your ties to Florida, Key West, and I think, do you have a home on the west coast of Florida?
Yeah, how'd you know that? You guys are doing your research? Yes, about 7 years ago? 7 years ago, my wife and I were looking for a second home. And we love Florida. We came and looked up and down the eastern seaboard, but I have a brother who lives in Fort Myers, a sister who lives in Naples, and a brother who lives in Sarasota. And I have a very good friend in Dick Vitale who lives in Lakewood Ranch. So 7 years ago, we stopped by to visit Dick and his lovely wife, Lorraine, and told him that Liz and I were looking for a home down here. And he said, "Oh, you ought to buy my daughter's house." And I said, "Is it on the market? Is she selling it?" He said, "No." He said, "But I think she will because she's building a new home." The next day, Lorraine took us by Terry's house, or Sherry? Terry or Sherry? Sherry. We went by Sherry Vitale's home. That's not her married name. And we put a bid on it, and she sold it to us. And so we have a home in Sarasota, and my wife has had the opportunity to use it a lot more than I have, but we've loved it down here.